I always say I speak about this a lot in my videos. When I'm having conversations with people around wherever I'm at, I always say this. And when I say it, and when people hear me say it, whether it be in person or on one of my videos, I'm sure they kind of scratch their head on why would I say something like that. And that's that civil rights movement was a bad thing for black people. Civil rights movement was bad for black people. I repeat. I have a video. If you click the link in my bio, click the link in my description. I have a video explaining that, um, precept on precept. But in this video, I want to feed into that narrative of why the civil rights movement was bad for black people. Prior to the civil rights movement, don't get it twisted. Black people was don't get it twisted. Black people, of course, they didn't have rights. They were second class citizens. Basically, they didn't have rights. They wasn't able to do certain things that white people were able to do. That is true, right? But black people were doing fine. Black people had businesses. Unlike nowadays, black people, for example, like if you had a guy, and the daddy went to be a doctor, and a lot of times the mother would be housewife. But if she wasn't a housewife and she was working, and say for instance she was a lawyer, and they both were successful, they wouldn't leave out of the hood and go stay with white people because they couldn't, and they would stay in their own communities and open up businesses, open up pharmacies. They had their own areas to support themselves because the way the time was, right? Now, the civil rights movement, when it was started by certain people like Martin Luther King and John Lewis and all these type of people, who was all for if you do your research was socialists, and they was basically bought and paid for to sell the black people over to the Democratic Party. That's what that was. But that's not what I'm about to get into. My issue with my issue with the civil rights movement and why it was bad for black people. It taught black people to not it taught people to not it taught black people to not take accountability for their own mistakes. Now, mind you, at that particular time, a lot of things that was taking place wasn't black people's fault. It wasn't. It was out of their control. The powers that be, we was a couple years. We was a few years out of slavery, and it just was hard for black people at the time. And so Martin Luther King, he was all about, basically, in the words of Malcolm X, sharing the toilet with the white man. He didn't want no transfer of power. He didn't want no transfer of equality of wealth. All he wanted was little black boys and little black girls to hold hands. That's all he wanted, right? And Malcolm X spoke about rulership, what we should be doing for our own self, how we should be having our own schools, our own police forces, and how we should be doing the same thing that these other people do, even the people that come to this country does. But that I'm kind of getting off the subject, right? Reason why I say personally the civil rights movement was bad for black people is because it taught them to blame other people. Now, granted, at that particular time, we as a race had somebody to blame. The white man was holding us back, right? We actually had somebody to blame. But what it did was it made us get into a mindset of blaming other people for our issues. And like I said, at that particular time, it wasn't what it was now. It wasn't fatherless homes. It wasn't black on black crime. It wasn't abortion. And so the issue that we have in our community now that is plaguing us, which is not the white man, it's our own issues. We didn't have those issues then. So it wasn't no reason for the quote unquote black leaders and black preachers and the people who was behind the civil rights movement. It didn't really pay for them to tell people, okay, this is what you need to do to fix yourself. But listen, we gonna take care of the rest. And so black people sold themselves out to always being a victim, right? And it's still that way today, and it has spilled over. And that's why I always tell people, man, I hate to say this, but a lot of these older black moving forward for the race to progress and for black people to be in the rulership and be able to take their state in America like everybody else is doing, a lot of these Negroes are gonna have to go. A lot of these Negroes are gonna have to be reformed or be removed. They're going to have to go. And I'm talking a lot about the older black. Now, you know, you got some of these younger blacks who want to sell poison to their own people and all this type of stuff. They going to be reformed or be removed. They're going to exterminate themselves. But these older blacks who supposed to be the elders, supposed to have something to teach us, they still stuck in 1960 and 1970. Any black between the ages of 50 or better, they still got that old stupid mindset. And what they do is they teach their children that, and then their children feeling like, well, I'm not going to be able to do certain things because I'm black. And that's a lie, right? So the reason why I'm speaking on that, because I'm watching these two idiots here. And I don't use the word idiot lightly. These two dudes are two dummies. Chris, the bright skinned brother, he is so dumb that it doesn't even like he just dumb. I'm talking about like I don't know. Only reason he one of those type of guys. You know, you work with a guy, and you don't know how they got a position at the company, but they've been at the company for so long, they just gotta give them a position. But you always looking at them like, God damn, how this dumb ding dong got a position? And that's Chris. The reason why Chris got a job right now because he been in the game, in the journalism game for so long. But like, bruh, he never have no good sports take. Maybe every blue moon, because he did speak about the Sixers and situation with how Doc Rivers is a bad coach, which I agree. So he have a good take every blue moon, but for the most part, he have a liberal take, a take that everybody else has. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing that's off the scale. Now this other brother, Rob Parker, he's a little bit older, but he's I think 58, 59. So he still got that old the white man mindset. Um, excuse me. He still got that mindset, but he's a little bit more educated. He went to Columbia Ivy League College, and he do have a lot of great takes. He will go against the grain if he feel like not just to do it, because it's never go. If you're gonna go against the grain, don't go against the grain just to do it, but you go against the grain because you willing to stand alone for what's right. And sometimes when he's dealing with sports only, because he's a dummy too. Actually, he blocked me behind some political stuff, but that's another story for another day. He blocked me on social media, on Instagram, but that's another video for another day. He lays up there, and he, like I say, he's a little bit more educated. You know, he went to Ivy League school. He's a little older than Chris. I think Chris around 53, 54. Rob is about 58, 59. And so Rob, but he have better sports take. As a sportscaster, I do respect him as a sportscaster, right? So they get to talking about, of course, the Ja Morant situation. Now, we understand the situation. People with working brains, understand the Ja Morant situation. Ja Morant is worth $250 million, right? Him having a legal gun, him listening to rap music, rapping on his property with a gun that's 9 times out of 10 legal. That's not. He didn't break any laws. That's what people not see. People making stuff out of something that's not. He didn't break any laws. But what you gotta understand is, and this for the dummies, because people with brains understand what I'm about to say. So I'm not talking to them, but people with brains understand that when you represent certain companies, it's certain things that you can and cannot do. Where they might not be a law against the land, but they're a law against that company. To give you an example, if you work in corporate America, right, and you got a position, it's certain things that you can and can't do. And they gonna tell you that in the hiring process. And they have people, especially when it's one of these bigger corporations and you got a high position, it's people in these type of corporations. I don't know what you call them, but they people who vet the people who work there. Meaning they looks at your social media. They look at the thing that you do, the thing that you post. Because if you post something that could potentially embarrass their company or put their company in a situation of litigation, you will be terminated. And it's not because you broke the law. Hell, these days you can't even say a certain thing. You can't even post your political beliefs in certain things or religious belief, because this not tolerated, especially on the work site. But that's not what I'm talking about. So for Ja Morant, the issue for the dummies with Ja Morant is he represents $3 billion-dollar corporations that I know of. It may be more, but three that I know of. One is Nike, one is Powerade, one is the NBA. When you do, first of all, he got a moral clause in his contract that says he can't do stuff like that. But not just to mention that, when you doing stuff like that, you hurt the bottom line of all three of those companies that I just named. It's people that invest, that's heavily invested into these companies, and it's people that will cut their tie. I could guarantee you, now I didn't see this, I didn't check this out, I can guarantee you the stocks in all those corporations that I just said have dropped because what one player did, because this player is one of the faces of the NBA. He's that good. He's one of those guys. He's one of the best in the NBA at this time, right? So he can't move like anybody else. Because if he wasn't who he was, he wouldn't even have a job right now, if you want to be honest about it. If he was one of these certain players, these role players, or these dudes who sit so far at the end of the bench, they got splinters in their butt, he wouldn't even be on he wouldn't have a job no more. He'd be overseas in China playing for the Shanghai Sharks. But because he's so good, he's a face of the NBA, he had an incident like this about 2 months ago where he flashed a gun in a strip club, and now he's at his house doing it. Right? And so the thing about it is, what he did wasn't a crime. He didn't break any laws. But what he did was he hurt the bottom line of those corporations that he represents. He represents somebody. When you represent something, whether it be a company, a job, even if you work at McDonald's, and you leave off McDonald's premises with a McDonald's shirt on and you get into it with somebody and hurt that person, or they hurt you but they still get some kind of bruise or mark, they can sue. If somebody get it on tape and they can prove it, they can sue McDonald's, because at that point when you got their material on, when you got their out uniform on, you represent that company. So what Ja Morant did with the moral clause in his contract, he can be terminated, but they not gonna do that because he's too good of an asset to the team and the NBA. And of course, this will eventually blow over. But the people who saying, well, it's because he black. This goes back to that civil rights foolishness, always blaming somebody instead of taking accountability for yourself. Because in the day and age we live in, going back to talking about these two idiots on here, Rob Parker and Chris Broussard, they come up in that time of the civil rights movement, or not really at that time, but they was around that time, and I think I would say they were born in the 60s. Listen, at the end of the day, bro, times have changed. And at this point, the white man has nothing to do with the black man failure and the condition that black people in. The white man, the Jew, the blue man, the green man, nobody got no power. Nobody got no hand in that. They might have a hand in it for that's doing certain things to keep us focused on what we need to do. But for the most part, it's our fault. It's our situation, and nobody can fix it but us. And so I want to let this play, and why I made this video, because of course we're going to go into the tandem of because he black. Like, they can't just say, look, Ja messed up, he screwed up again, he gonna have to let the chip fall where they lay. Woo. Chris Broussard, the liberal black, of course, what he is, had to bring in black. And that is the poison that still runs in the veins of most older blacks, that is always the white man's fault, which is all starting the civil rights movement. It was the white man's fault for real at that particular time, but not anymore. That's a disease that must be cured. And what they do is they spread this down to the youth. So you have the youth saying it's the white man. It's the youth. They doing it now in college, these liberal colleges. CRT, it's the white man's fault. It's the white man's fault. If I'm black, I'm a victim. But I'm going to let it play, and of course, I'm going to chime in.
Really unfortunate story going on in the NBA with Ja Morant. It was just a few months ago that he was on Instagram posting a photo of him with a gun, and was served an 8-game suspension. Really was more like 2 or 3 because they made it retroactive. He was away from the team for 5 or 6 games. And Rob's, incredibly, one of his friends on Instagram Live posted he and Ja were in a car jamming to some hip hop music, and Ja flashed a gun. What I guess they're still investigating, but what looked very much like a gun. And now he's been suspended from all team activities for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he basically is awaiting, I guess, the NBA's investigation and then whatever punishment they level at him. Your thoughts on this, Rob?
Um, I think people tried to give him a pass, not a pass. What's the right term, Chris? Try to give him the benefit of the doubt that he.
Yeah, he got a little
young,
punishment, but people wanted to believe in him for sure.
wanted to
and they
believe
gave him
him.
a second shot.
And I think the commissioner got bamboozled. We all did, like thinking this isn't a bad kid. He grew up in this nice family, and this is a bad mistake, and he'll learn from this, Chris. And here we are, 2 months after everything that happened to him. Here he is doing it again. So shame on us for probably not believing that this is who he is. He knew what was at stake before, like what he represents. He had the new sneaker line with Nike. How in the world can you go forward with all of this? And he went on television with Jalen Rose and this and that, and it's some narrative by the media, which is the way it was painted, that people, well, not that people had facts and information, Chris, but it was some narrative that the media made up about him.
Right.
Not at all. And there's just too many instances where he got a pass because he's a great basketball player. He did.
Now, let me ask you, when you say this is who he is, because he's not a gangster. I mean, he
Chris,
might be a wannabe gangster, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
when I say this is who he is, that this life that he's portraying is what he wants. Like he got scared to. What was that old thing, Chris, with prison when you were in high school? Scared straight, where they take you to prison so to scare you to death.
right.
So he had a scared straight moment where you got this new sneaker coming out. Coming out, you got to go away from the team. Your family's embarrassed. All this stuff is going on, and not more than 2 months later, like nothing happened. This is who you want to be. This is what you want to do. I wouldn't have touched another gun, Chris. Do you hear me?
No,
I wouldn't have touched another gun. Or have my friend put on Instagram and us drive around and even me touch it. Like what? What?
Your friends, first of all, Ja's friends aren't looking out for him. They should be protecting him. Because he's probably their meal ticket too. And I'm not saying that they're using him. But whatever they have, apparently, a lot of it's because of him. Now, at this point. And so you should be protecting him. They should be taking advantage of the situation. I don't mean using him, but I mean using the opportunities that he could present to them to work for a Nike or to work for whatever companies are endorsing him, or just to, be around him and learn some type of, skill for themselves. And I know that's the LeBron James model, right? Rich Paul and Maverick Carter, they didn't go to college or they didn't graduate. And
well, clearly his friends can't take the Rich Paul and Maverick Carter route. Because not because they don't have the money behind them, because Ja Morant got the money to do it, but they too busy young being thugs. See, LeBron, one thing about LeBron, even though he came up without a father and Ja Morant came up with his father, LeBron at an early age understood that the street wasn't what he wanted to be a part of, not even a little bit. LeBron never was ever since, and LeBron's still the same way today. He's a big kid. LeBron never was. He's a big square, rather. I'm gonna say he's a big square. He's a square. LeBron never wanted to be a part of that lifestyle. He grew up in the hood, but he never wanted to be a part of that lifestyle. He never act like he was a part of that lifestyle. And that's why he always kept it. Him and Carmelo always were real cool. But he kept his distance from Carmelo for the most part, because Carmelo was caught up into that. And if you know the story of Carmelo is one of my favorite players. If you know the story of Carmelo got caught in a situation similar to that and ruined his career. And what I mean by ruined it, He still had a few endorsements, like he had a Jordan endorsement, but when it comes to the NBA, he was no longer the face of the NBA no more. Cause he at one particular time, believe it or not, he shared the spotlight in the early 2000s with Kobe. It was Kobe, Kevin Garnett, Shaq, Vince Carter, LeBron. These were the faces of the NBA in the early 2000s. And when he made that video with a whole bunch of guns and dudes talking about stop snitching, and it made it to America's Most Wanted, he had a dark shadow on him for the rest of his life. He had to struggle and beg, you know what I'm saying, for certain things. And he never won no awards. He won a scoring title, but that don't mean nothing. He never won no award. You're not gonna tell me the way Carmelo played, he never was supposed to be an MVP. You know what I'm saying? And once he was removed from the face of the NBA, he just wasn't looked at the same. He had to recreate he had to recreate himself. And that's what Ja gonna have to do. And the only thing bad with him and Ja is Ja haven't really made it. At that time Carmelo had been in the league for a while. Like I say, he was one of the faces. He was established. He didn't have no championships and nothing, but he was an established player in the NBA, coming from college, off of the championship winning college at Syracuse. And he did that. He just kind of put a black cloud over himself, and this is what Ja have done. Ja's gonna lose some of those endorsements, and there's a lot of people that might have would have given him endorsement that they gonna step away now because he's quote unquote a high risk. He's not somebody that you want to invest in because you don't know. He's a time bomb. We don't know at this point what he's gonna do next, right? For him to be in this situation again, not a year, not 2 years, not 6 months, 2 months right after this happened to him. This just shows that he is immature. He don't have no real friends around him. And I mean, I really don't know what else to say about him. He's trying to be something he's not, but we know that's the culture. That's how destructive our culture is, and that's why we have to recreate the culture because this is not going to work moving forward. But going back to the original subject, I'm gonna let him finish speaking about it. But of course, yeah, I'm gonna let him finish speaking about it, and I'm gonna just chime in.
They, LeBron presented them with opportunities because of his greatness, and they have capitalized. And now one Maverick is a entertainment mogul, and Rich Paul is one of the top agents in the NBA. But I want to throw this out first, Rob, because I do not condone or defend what Ja Morant was doing. And I would tell every young black man, young man, period, don't do that. Don't go on social media flashing guns. Don't play around with guns. They're not toys.
Now you could have said it like that, and don't say about nobody else because nobody else does that. Only other time other races do stuff like that is the wiggle white boy and the essay who want to be black. The people who want to be black and be a part of black culture. That's the only time you're gonna see somebody of another race do that. So you should have just left it right there, and you was good. Look, I'm gonna tell every black man, cause you are a man with a voice. You do have a platform. I'm gonna tell every black man to not show guns or brandish guns or show any type of weapons on social media because it doesn't mean anything. Like Kwame Brown said, you're not scaring nobody with that. Because I tell brothers all the time, you can have 20 pistols. If somebody is about who up first, it's about who go where they move first. You can have 30 pistols on you. If you get caught in a situation where your opponent has got the upper hand, you just gonna be a dead person or a robbed person with 30 guns. You know what I'm saying? But that's not here or there. You don't need to be showing this on social media because who are you scared? As a matter of fact, when you show guns on social media, all you doing is giving another person a reason to want to raw you out. In other words, for example, if I was to ever rob, or if somebody was to ever rob Ja Morant or somebody who posts guns on social media, whereas you might rob a regular person and say, "Hey, give me everything." Somebody like that you always know got their gun because they always showing it, you just gonna run up on them shooting. You ain't gonna ask no question because you know there's a good chance they may have a gun on them and they might go where they moving. It might be a tussle, and so because you know they got a gun on them or they got a history of having a gun on them, you're not gonna ask them no questions. But I'm gonna let them finish, and of course I'm gonna chime in.
All right. That said, This country does have a history, and it happens still to this day, of punishing and punishing black people for things it doesn't punish whites for. The war on drugs is an example. Some whites, of course.
That's because they in power. That's why. That's because they in power. And y'all liberal blacks don't want power. Y'all want equality. And I always tell people, why would they do that? Why would the power that be? I'm not gonna give them no power because liberal blacks, these internet revolutionary, these black woke, they love to give white supremacy. They make white supremacy more stronger than it actually is. They make white people stronger and more powerful than they actually is. And it gets real silly to me. You know how black people, every time something happen to them and they get called out for accountability, is always the white man. Like, it's so silly and childish. It's like a younger sibling, when they get in trouble, they telling the parent, well, well, they do it too. It's two different people. They're older than you. And then the next thing is these liberal blacks and these black wokes and these internet revolutionaries, they always want to holler about equality. Forget equality. Get a rulership mindset. Why would the people that's in power, like, ask yourself, this is what black people don't think and stop to ask themselves. Why would the powers that be, whether you want to say it, the white man, the Jew, or whoever it is that's in power, why would they give you equality? Why would they do that? Why would they get off with why would they stop what they've been doing that kept them in power for however many years and say, you know what, we're gonna share some of that power with you? That would be the equivalent of asking your parents, say, Mom, can I have equal authority in the household that you have? It's just not gonna happen. It doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? But unlike all these other races that come to this country from third world countries, they come here with a rulership, ruling class mindset. They don't come here begging the white man. They don't come here begging the Jew. They come here, they create their own businesses. They come here with a capitalist mindset. And whatever it is that they know that is, they come to here and they common sense capitalists, whatever they know that people buy, they create a business in selling that. They grow their business, and when they grow their business to a big enough, guess what they do? They employ their own people. The next thing you know, they create their own areas like Chinatown. You don't see no black businesses in Chinatown. And these other little, town that they call that these foreigners move here, they don't have black businesses in there, but they come in our hoods and buy up everything, buy up all the real estate, open up their stores, feed us that greasy food, take all our women money for doing nails when our women really could be learning how to do their own nails, sell all this fake hair, then they hire the black women to work in their store. So when they know by hiring a black woman to work in these hair stores, they very, very smart. They know if we hire black women, this is a 3-for-1 thing. We gonna pay them for one thing and get three things that we paying them for. What do I mean by that? They hired a black woman to work in these hair stores because they know one thing. She know the hair that's popular, so she gonna tell them to get it, and that's what they gonna buy it for cheap price wherever they get it from. Number two, they gonna automatically have free advertisement because the female that work, they're gonna be talking about their business and saying when the new hair coming and how much it is, and they just gonna be basically advertising it around. And three, whatever they job in the store be, whether it be a cashier or stocker. So they getting three things out of these black women. So they hire them, and they've been doing it for years. But my thing is this: that's on them. I don't get mad at them. I don't hate at them. I see what they doing, and I tell my people that we need to do it as well. We have to start. We have to have this ruling class mindset. We have to get a rulership mindset. And that way we wouldn't have to worry about them policing our own neighborhood because we could have our own police. If we had a ruling class mindset, we could send our kids to school to be judges, lawyers, and doctors. And not doctors, but doctors too, of course. But we should be sending our children to school to be police, judges, lawyers, so they can perform the same nepotism for our young boys and young girls when they make a mistake that these people do. It's not about, but instead we worrying about sending our children to be a rapper, sending our children to school to be LeBron, sending our sending our children to school to be the next Michael Jordan, sending our children to school to be the next Michael Vick, while they sending their children to school to own the team. We want to play for the team. They want to own it. They sending their children to school to be police, judges, lawyers. Why is that? Because they know that they always going to have mistakes happening in their community, and they want to be there to help each other. A lot of these police shootings, I don't blame the police for it. I understand the situation that they had to protect themselves because the dude was acting irate and resisting arrest. But guess what? If it was black people policing their own people, a lot of those shootings would go down. Because why is that? Black people understand other black people. And a lot of these young black men will feel more comfortable by taking order from a black man. It may sound crazy, but it is what it is. They already have a problem with respecting any type of authority, especially a police. But when there's a white police, it's even worse. And that's why a lot of these situations turn bad from resisting arrest to somebody dead, because the officer, he see the type of chaos that go on in the black community. He's scared for his life. You scared for your life. Only thing different is he got a gun and can kill. You can't. And if you do got a gun and you kill him or shoot him, you can go. They gonna swallow the jailhouse key on you. So, but a lot of these shootings happen because the brothers is resisting arrest. They resisting arrest because they don't have a father in the home, and they not used to nobody giving them authority. They not used to no man fussing at them and telling them what to do. And so they have this anger that's already inside of them, and this overly emotional stuff that's inside of them from their mamas who they being raised by. They overreact, and next thing you know, somebody dead. Because the officer is afraid for his life in most situations, and he gonna do what he gotta do to protect himself. But if we had black people policing our own communities like it should be, a lot of that stuff would change. But we don't want to be a police. F the police. When we don't understand that, just like everybody in the world know that they need police, we need police as well. That's why you see now they got police that's not even black or white. They other ethnicities now, because everybody understand that it's good to have somebody that look like you when you need somebody in an emergency situation. Right? So we need to send our children to school to be lawyers, to be judges, and to be policemen. That's a more attainable goal than going to the NBA. And a lot of times these youngsters have a lot of pressure on them to go in the NBA. They do good, they great in high school, they get the college thing might not pan out, and then they depressed and they don't really want to do nothing now productive for their community. But we gotta all come together as a whole with this mindset. Let's flood out the police academy with black people. Let's flood out the criminal justice department with black judges. Let's flood out the criminal what you call that? I forgot what it's called when you go into school to get a law degree. Let's flood our black people up with that. So whenever there's a time where we might need we might need help in a legal situation and we don't have all the money, it could be a black person, a person that look like us, that can say, you know what, I understand. I do the case for this. Just owe me, and we gotta make good on our debts. We gotta make good on our debts with our people, right? We gotta do this. We got to bring us together, man. All this other stuff about financial literacy and generational wealth. First and foremost, we gotta bring back the nuclear family in the black community. That 70% of fatherless home, that's the number we have now. It needs to be brought down to at least 20 to 15%. I wish it could be 0%, but we understand stuff happens. But just having these children recklessly and all that, but I'm getting off the subject, I digress. What I'm saying is, in this situation here, and that's another thing why I don't respect a lot of these athletes like LeBron James, who always want to open their mouth and speak on racial issues. The fake black leaders, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, the members of the Democratic Party, including Barack Obama, and all the ones in the Democratic Party that so-called love and care for black people, like Nancy Pelosi and AOC. The fake black preachers, not all of them, but most of them. This is my issue with them. At any time a situation like this, and the liberal blacks like this Chris Broussard guy and the internet revolutionary, the first thing they do, and I spoke about this in my other video about Ja Morant. This part 2, but I got a part 1. But this part 2. But the reason, the first thing that they do is they want to start bringing up comparing themselves to the white man. Like I said, that's getting lame and silly, because not only the thing that I mentioned aforementioned why it's lame and silly earlier in this message, it's lame because Who compares themselves to something that they don't feel is above them? So every time you feel yourself, one minute you saying you're a black king or you're a black queen, then the next minute you comparing yourself to the white man. The white man is superior to you because if he wasn't, you wouldn't be comparing yourself to you. You don't compare yourself to nothing that you feel is beneath you. You only compare yourself to stuff that's above you. Like I said earlier, the big brother or stuff like that. But you always comparing yourself to the white man, and that's why I have the issue with these celebrities, these fake black, these fake liberal black pastors, not all but most, these fake black leaders, these fake people the Democrat Party that so care and that so claim to love and care about black people. They never tell black people their issue. Like I said in the video, when Chris Broussard said that black people need to stop getting on social media with their gun, that should have been the end of the message, right? I mean, that should have been the end of that. Now you going into a tandem about now you had to do this because you as a liberal black you feel that white people are superior to you. So you had to go in the tandem of saying that, oh, well, they get treated different. They get treated different in some situations because they are people in power. They are the people that's making the laws. But if you was going to, if you wanted to be in sports, if you care so much, why you didn't switch your major to go and be a person to make laws, go and be a person to make the rules for your people? You didn't, so shut up. And stop trying to push that as an excuse for the issue that what Ja Morant did. That has nothing to do with Ja Morant. Ja Morant is a $250 million worth basketball player, the face of 3 or more billion-dollar corporations. Stop bringing up what white people do. White people ain't got nothing to do with this. You plugging them up and giving them power in a situation where they have nothing to do with. Nothing should have been said about white people, and that's why I hate when all these fake celebrities and all the people I just said always trying to bring up like they care so much about black people. They care so much about black people, they'll tell black people, look, stop having babies out of wedlock. Stop having babies with people who you know not going to be around to be a father. Stop spreading your seed everywhere and leaving it. Stop killing each other. Stop aborting each other. Shit, a whole generation of black people have been killed in the womb. But they don't tell you about none of that. All they telling you is what the white man do, what the white man do, what the white man do. Man, ain't nobody worrying about the white man, bro. Niggas getting money, man. People getting money. People worrying, well, not all of us, but the ones of us with ruling class mindsets and the ones of us who got leadership mindset, we not worrying about no white person. We doing what we doing. Ain't nobody getting in our way. The white man might want to get on board, but he not getting in our way, and he can't hold us back because we got rulership mindset. Do you see? Tell me when you see these people come here from these third world countries and complain about the white man. They don't. You're not gonna see it because they understand the climate, they understand the playing field, and they gonna make it. They gonna make the playing field level on their own time. It take them time sometimes. It take them time sometimes. I had an Indian partner. This dude came here from India, and of course, you know, the Indians own all the gas stations. They gave him a job. This dude literally worked at that job, bro, at the gas station on gas station pay. I don't know what he was getting paid, but he wasn't making no hell of a money at no gas station. This dude literally got him a worked at the gas station forever. Work, went home. I know this because I was his guide. You know, I met him through another Indian, and I was their guide. I took him around, showed him around, and he had 2 other Indian partners that came out here with him, and all they was worrying about was getting high and spending money on women and doing. He wasn't doing none of that. He would work, go on. Before you know it, that dude told me, say, man, take me to the airport. I said, what you going to do? He said, man, I'm going to L.A. I'm going to L.A. and buy me an 18-wheeler. Dude went to L.A., bought him an 18-wheeler. Now the dude got a fleet of 18-wheelers. And guess what he doing with his 18-wheeler? He putting his other Indian homie that come over here on. He putting him on. He didn't come over here crying. He came over here and started from the bottom, saved up his coin, got him a truck. That truck got him more trucks. Now he got a whole fleet. I don't know. I haven't talked to him and been keeping up with him, but that was years ago. He might have his own company now, but I know he got more than one truck now. He created his own lane for his own self. I posted a video on my page, I think about a day or two ago. I forgot the name of it. And listen, we got the money, man. According to the money we spend, I'm talking about just American black, not African, not Haitian, just American black. according to the money that we spent on all kind of food, and I don't have to get into detail what, y'all know what, we are the eighth richest nation in the world, bro. Bro, we don't listen, bro. We don't need nobody for nothing, bro. All we gotta do is come together. We might have to, make some sacrifices, for a little while. But we could have a rulership playing field right now. We can level the playing, and we is a small percentage of America, but we still can level the playing field in our own right. I'm not saying we could take over America, because who cares about taking over America? That's not the plan. The plan is to create our own lane, our own companies, our own organizations, have our own judges, have our own police department. The way we gonna have to worry about the white man, the Jewish man. We gonna only have to worry about our people who automatically gonna have compassion for us, who automatically gonna show us love, and the thing that we might not be able to get done with other people, we'll be able to get done with our own, because it'll be a collective effort. It'll be like a family effort, and not just like, when I mean by family, not just a particular family, but we all coming together and treat each other like all these other races treat each other. They treat each other like they treat each other like family when they ain't family, because they understand that it's a culture that they are building. It's a culture that they trying to make a part. For example, I might not know you, but I know that you're an Indian like me, so it's a good chance. You never know what could happen. We in America now, so you never know. We all over working at gas, and we doing this, we doing that. You might marry my daughter in 20 years, 15 years, 10 years from now, right? And because I because I looked out for you, you married my daughter, and it's just a connection. They mindset is on connection. They mindset on creating a culture and getting they stake a piece. They getting a piece of the American dream collectively as a whole, not just my family and me straight. They want to do it as a whole. Black people got that mindset. Most of us got a communist employee mindset, but for the ones who do have that trailblazing capitalist mindset, we all about ourselves and our family, and that's cool because that's the people you're responsible for, your family, your children. But at the end of the day, if you create a culture right like that, your children in the future, or not so much as your children, other people, your children in 3 generations of you create this culture, 3 generations from now your children might fall off, but because the culture has been created, another family that picked up off your culture can help your son get back where he at. You see what I'm saying? But I'm gonna let this guy finish, and of course I'm gonna chime in. This had nothing to do with white people. He brought white people in his bag, and that's the poison that these older black got. White man, white man, white man is the superior. White man, so white supremacy is most black people, liberal black people. That's their god. They worship white supremacy.
Poor whites usually, just like blacks getting punished in that. But they're not going after everybody using and selling drugs. But there also is the stereotype of black men being more violent than other races of men.
It's not a stereotype, Chris. And I want to go back on something he just said about how the war on drugs against black people. Let me show you something. You know what? Black people, this is why they get what they get when it comes to the war on drugs. This is why it's more black people in jail than it is white people. And just talking about for drugs, but we can talk about anything. But let's just stick to drugs right now. The war on drugs. The war on drugs of dealing drugs and the drug trade in America. That's what the war on drugs was about. I grew up when I was 13. I met a white dude. Me and him became best friends. Of course, I had a black best friend as well that was from my area. This white boy from the white part of town, we met at an alternative school. So I grew up in a Christian home, but I had a white friend who was from the south side of town where I'm from, which is the nice white part. And I had a black homie that was from the north side, which is the hood where I'm from. Both of them was drug dealers, right? Both of them was drug dealers from a young age when I met them. I used to get my little nickel and dimes in when I was but I was raised in a 2-parent home, unlike them. My parents was strict, so I couldn't do certain things that they do. I couldn't really hold drugs in the house, but I'd do my little thing when I was with them, nothing major. But them, they sold drugs all their life. They rose in the ranks. And I noticed something about both of them. My black partner and this is something that everybody knows that what I'm saying is the truth. My black partner was super flashy, jewelry, expensive clothes, multiple cars, all on rims, but he didn't have no job or nothing to back him up. You know, black people that sell drugs most of the time, they got a big sign that they walk around with saying, "Hey, I sell drugs." Where my white partner, he didn't really have no lot of jury. He had a grill in his mouth, but he didn't have no lot of jury. He had a car and he had him a truck. The car was, it had rims and everything on it, but you know what I'm saying. But this is the thing. This is why the black, not so much as that, because a lot of white boys that I know, they sell, well, not, I don't know now, but a lot of white boys I used to know when I was in the street sell more weed and more pills than the law allowed. And guess what? They driving a truck. They at home every day. They take care of their family, and they using not justifying it, but they using the drug trade to get ahead faster. The blacks using the drug trade to stunt and floss with no plan. Majority of white boys, they using the drug trade just to get ahead, and they got a plan, right? Not to mention this. This is why most of black people in jail for drugs than white people, even though they both do it the same. They both evenly do it. Maybe the whites doing it more because there's more of them in the country. Well, a lot of time when these blacks out here, they have 20 cars, a million in jury or more, all the designer clothes, but guess what they won't have? A lawyer on detainer. See them white boy, my white partner, always kept a lawyer on retainer because he had enough sense to know that one day the door gonna get kicked. That's just part of the game. One day the door kick. He got a lawyer on retainer. I'm gonna show you another thing. A lot of time these blacks out here that selling drugs, they don't do nothing for their family. They don't take care of their family. They act bougie around their family. They do for all these hoes, but they don't do nothing for their family. So when they get caught and go to jail for drug dealing, they don't have nobody to call, right? And then even if they do got somebody to call, in black families, everybody ain't just sitting around with no money to help nobody for the most part. And we do have a family member that got some money because they went to school, got educated, and got a good job. They gonna act bougie off the dump because you selling drugs and you doing the wrong thing in their eyes, right? You making more money than them, and they did the right thing. You doing the wrong thing, so they not gonna help you. But the white folks, they gonna come together, scrape some money together. If none of them don't got it, but it's always most of the time in a white family, somebody who got a company, they got something, or they own a house, or they gonna come together and look out, right? But like I said, in my white partner situation, he had a lawyer. But I seen white boys in jail who they mom and daddy might have was, the trailer park trash whites, and they didn't really have money to get a lawyer. They would get the uncles, the grandpa, the grandma, and they would come together and get them a lawyer. We don't have that kind of power now. We don't have that kind of love, and not so much the love. We just don't have that kind of. We just ain't able in our community. So this is why and then the black man go to court with a public defender, get slammed. The white boy go with a paid lawyer, he get a better deal. Not to mention, as I mentioned earlier, the judges. He might go in front of a white judge, the white boy, and the white judge gonna show him favoritism. And he might not be favoritism because it's race, but it's compassion just because it's a natural instinct for us to show compassion to somebody who look like us, right? And of course, the black man, he gonna go in front of a white judge, and the white judge, he not gonna have no compassion for him in most situations. So this is why you have more blacks. It's not that the system against blacks, not to say that they ain't, but it's not that they is. I just always look at things as an anti-victim perspective. But it's not that they do. It's just we make bad decisions when we doing stuff. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And the way we sell drugs and do crime, it's worse than the white people do it. They do it in more modestly. And then going back to what he said, like, well, they make it like black people is more, dangerous in this country. Listen, the numbers are there. Black people is 50% of all violent crime. As a 13% of population, and we understand it's per capita. We understand that it's per capita, which means that we are smaller percentage. So the same thing, if we doing the number of things that another group is doing, but because they bigger than us, we gonna automatically get the number one. But it's already documented, it's already proven that black commit 50% more violent crime than any other race in America. 50% of all crime in America. Half of all crime in America is committed by black people. This is not no number. This is what it is, and we know it. Especially if you're in the hood like me, you know it, right? Black on black crime alone is at an all-time high. Black on black crime, the way black on black crime is happening is alarming. Nobody kills each other like the blacks. And then a lot of times they'll make an excuse and say, well, when people in a poverty situation, that's not the situation. Because they got poverty-stricken areas in California and Texas with Hispanics. They got trailer parks with white folks, and these people is impoverished too. And yes, drug dealing going on, there's crime being committed, but they not killing each other like flies, like the blacks doing in the inner cities in all the major cities. So it's not because of lack of funds. It's not because of lack of money. It's because of lack of culture. It's because of lack. It's because demoralization. It's because of lack of a lot of other things. Lack of God, right? That's why we doing it. But these other races, they be in the same type of communities. The trailer park, they got parts of Texas, man, where you go in this, and there's a Mexican area and it look like you in another country, third world country. But they not killing each other there. So that's not an excuse for why blacks killing each other like that in the inner city. It's other issues. It's root causes on why they doing that, right? And that's what we got to get to. Instead of worrying about blaming somebody for our issues and comparing ourselves, we need to find out what is the solutions to our problem. We have to be solutions based and solutions oriented. Pointing the finger has not helped us. Comparing ourselves has not helped us. We have to help ourselves.
In this country. And while again, I'm not defending or condoning, but I want to throw this out first, Rob, because I do not condone or defend what Ja Morant was doing. And I would tell every young black man, young man, period, don't do that. Don't go on social media flashing guns. Don't play around with guns. They're not toys. All right? That said, this country does have a history, and it happens still to this day, of punishing black people for things it doesn't punish whites for. The war on drugs is an example. Some whites, of course, poor whites usually, just like blacks getting punished in that. But they're not going after everybody using and selling drugs. But there also is the stereotype of black men being more violent than other races of men in this country. And while I'm not defending or condoning anything Ja did. I think it was stupid. It may not have been unlawful, because depending on what state he was in, if he was in Tennessee where he played, if he was in Tennessee where he plays, that wasn't unlawful to have a gun in the car. And so that was not lawful. But my point is this, Rob. I wonder if that was Josh Allen or Bryce Harper or a white hockey player. I mean,
Why? Why does that matter? Why does it matter with Bryce Harper, Josh Allen, or whoever these other dudes that you just said, which is white athletes? Why does it matter what they have done? What would have happened with them? Why does that matter? How is that helping Ja Morant? How is that helping anybody listen to your station? What is that? What do you just? But you know what? I know what you're doing. You virtual signaling. You pondering. That's what you're doing. But it's not helping anybody. And what you're really doing is showing how stupid, shallow, and dumb you really are. Right? When you making a situation from other people and bringing other people in a situation who have nothing to do with it, giving them power by bringing them up in the first place in a situation where this has nothing to do with them. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. And if they do it, it's not hurting you. It's not hurting your family. It's not hurting your community, because none of the dudes you just said is investing in black people. It's not their job too. They white and they building generational wealth. So why are you bringing it? Ja Morant is the one who is in power to help make a move, make a big splash in the black community. His family first, but in the black community as a whole. He does. This is about Ja Morant, who did this twice. It's not about Bryce Harper, Grayson Allen, whoever you just said. This is the issue, what I'm saying. This is what these liberals do. This is what these liberal celebrities, liberal athletes, liberal pastors do. Leave these people out of it. That's not the case. That's not the situation. That's not the situation. Oh well, so it does not matter what so and so did. That's not the situation at hand. You moving the goalpost, bro. Let's stick to the situation at hand, dummy, liberal black, idiot Chris Parker. I mean Chris Brown, Chris Broussard. I'm sorry. This guy's an idiot, bro, and I hate that, bro, because it's too many people listen to him, follow him, and for him to say stuff like that, it just make a lot of black people say, yeah, he right, bro. He right, but it's not. First of all, he's not right for one, and for two, if he is right, let's say he's right for the sake of argument. What does that have to do with Ja Morant and the black community? What does that have to do? It's not about you crying about it. And let's just say it for the sake of argument, that's true. So what are you crying about it for? You got a little power, you got a little platform. What can be the solution? None of these people have solutions. None of these people have solutions. They just keep on they be keep on saying the problem, saying the problem like I mean they just keep on repeating the problem. What is the solution to that? You got a platform, you got a position, say something about it, but you not, because guess what? You get to talking too crazy, we won't see you no more. And you know that, and you ain't got them kind of kahunas. So
I
shut up.
heard Emmanuel Acho say today on his show, Speak, on FS1, that he had teammates, white teammates, who would post photos of themselves on social media with guns, hunters with guns and things like that. And so I don't condone what he did.
That's hunting. That's a sport for one, and for two, that's hunting. That's not when you listen to a rapper who talk about nothing but killing people and you got the gun putting it to your face like, yeah, that's tweet. Once again, you moving the goalpost. You comparing apples to oranges once again, like liberal blacks do. This is what they do. They never gonna stay on one. They gonna keep moving the goalpost. You'll never win with them. That's why I don't even waste time with them. But I'm saying that's what they do. If they was posting guns and they hunting, I've seen football players do that, post a gun, and I've seen black with a dude named Benny Logan. Benny Logan, I was dating his cousin. Benny Logan was an offensive tackle for the Eagles. I don't know if he's still in the league, but Benny Logan was, and he would post stuff on his Instagram all the time. I knew it because I was following him. Once again, like I said, I was dating his cousin, and he would post videos with his rifle and a hog hanging upside down or whatever. He would go hunt, and it wasn't a problem because he was hunting. He wasn't on Instagram with a rifle saying yeah. With listening to a rapper talking that don't talk about nothing but violence. There's a big difference, bro. Stop. And then that's another thing. They play dumb. I don't be knowing if they playing dumb or they really dumb. I don't be knowing which one it is with these liberal black and these black wokety wokes, these black internet revolutionaries. Because of course, like I showed that in the video yesterday I made about Ja Morant. Right? That's what they do. It's always gonna be, soon as something happens with black, they bringing up that they bringing up their superiors, which is quote unquote white supremacy and all this and all that. Golly.
think it was stupid, but I just want to put that out there so that, I just want that to be an element of this that people understand. And if you're gonna react this way about Ja, then react this way about if a white athlete does it as well. That said, Rob, I'm not saying he shouldn't get punished because I think he should. But my point is this. I'm scared for him now. Like, he's playing around with something that a lot of other people consider real life. And if a lot of times, well, we've seen, Rob, basketball players robbed. Paul Pierce, you remember, he was stabbed several times in a club. He's lucky he lived.
That's because, let's get this understood. Let's get something understood. And before I say what I'm about to say, we understand that this is life. We understand that certain things can happen no matter who you are or where you at. We understand that. Let's go ahead and say that. But for the most part, these individuals was in areas where they had no business being. They wasn't in VIP. When Paul Pierce got stabbed, I believe, at the club, or Antoine Walker, listen, man, when you making a certain type of money, listen, your life have to change. Ain't no, oh man, your life have to change, especially as a basketball player. especially as a basketball player. If you a basketball player and you going to the strip club, and I know it might get tedious sometimes. You don't want nobody always with you, but that's part of your lifestyle. If you want to get up at 2 in the morning and go to the casino, you gotta call you some bodyguards up. Why is that? Because guess what? It's always somebody that's broke, lurking, and wanna take your riches that you work hard for. So the situation they have with Paul Pierce, the situation they have with Antoine Walker, and so many other of these black rappers, you don't never hear none of this stuff happening to white actors, white rappers. You don't never hear none of these things. You know why? Because they're around a certain type of crowd. They understand and they touching it. But it's only us who want to still be in the hood. We want to still be in the hole in the wall club. We want to still be in these ghetto fabulous strip clubs. And then we want to go without no security. We have to have our security. If Antoine Walker would have had security, that would have never happened. If Paul Pierce would have had security, that would have never happened because his security would have took control of that. You don't hear none of this stuff happening to Floyd Mayweather. Everywhere Floyd Mayweather got, he got about 3, 4, 5, 6 big old bodyguards. You can't even get close to him because he's smart. He understands that he is an asset. And he understands that he got things that people want, so he got to protect himself. You never heard nothing happen with Floyd Mayweather because he is a smart athlete. When you get this type of money, you Negro need to start picking y'all friends better, for one, and stop going in certain areas. Man, I had that kind of money that Ja Morant got. First of all, I wouldn't hang with certain people. If I had homeboys still in the hood, I'd make sure they straight financially, make sure they got everything they need, but we wouldn't be hanging around each other. The first time I go around them and they do anything that even give me that you give me the mind that even if I even think that I can get caught up in a bad place at a bad time or get caught up into a messed up situation, that's no more hanging for us. We ain't hanging out no more. And if I tell you something about, look, bro, you moving too fast, you need to chill out, you worked a lot, you the meal ticket for the game, for the clique, and you don't listen to me, I'm not about to keep repeating myself. I might repeat myself once, twice, maybe 3 times. After that, I'm going to separate myself from you. I don't care how much money you got, what you doing for me. At the end of the day, you won't be able to say that I rolled with you and didn't tell you nothing. You're going to say, well, I cut him off, or he removed himself, but that nigga kept it real with me.
They weren't gang banging, but I'm just saying, basketball players and athletes are a lot of times a target.
Big Papi got shot a number of times in the Dominican Republic.
Right.
Remember that?
And Antoine Walker was jumped and robbed. And so, but a lot of times when you put yourself out there, like I'm a gangster, I'm about that life. Rob, I fear for him that some real gangsters in Memphis might test you. And even if you survive that test, maybe you shoot somebody. Your NBA career is over, and you took a life, and you probably going to prison. So the reason, Rob, I believe he needs to be suspended heavily, 20, 25 games. Some people talking more than that. Is hopefully, and maybe I'm wrong. You brought it up earlier, but hopefully that would be a wake-up call.
See, I don't.
You don't think
so,
there's
Chris.
a wake-up call out there for him?
I thought the last one was a wake-up call because they've been brushing stuff away. The laser pointer at the Pacers bus, the other kid, Chris, in his backyard where he brandished a gun reportedly. A teenager over a basketball game, he brandished a gun. This is who.
Yeah, Ja Morant, man, he moving too fast, and he trying to be something that he not, bro. You not no street nigga. You not no gangster. You didn't come up like that. You didn't come up in the hood. And another thing they saying, another thing that they not saying, I don't know if they gonna say, but listen, when you putting that kind of energy out there, you bring that kind of energy to you. Somebody will try you not just on the strength you putting that kind of facade out. Somebody will try you. Right? You got people that'll try you before that. That's just the basketball. Now they don't get it twisted. You a rich nigga, you know you a young nigga, you wear diamond and all that jewelry, you nice. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't like nobody gonna rob you for no money, because a lot of times you niggas ain't gonna have no money and y'all gonna have card. So for the simple fact, they might rob you for some jewelry or something, but I'm saying for the most part, You in the city, you making the city, you turn the city up. Niggas might let you make it. When you go to other cities, niggas might let you make it because you know you got some money, you got a little motion. But once you put that kind of energy, in the energy, I would tell people, reciprocity is a law. Whatever you sow, you reap. Whatever you reap, you sow. Whatever kind of energy you put out there, it's gonna come back to you. Putting that gangster energy out there, you putting that gangster energy out there, it'll come back to you. Cause there's a lot of young boys right there in Memphis who will try you, boy. And your partners that's around you, you start feeding them and not giving them what they want. They'll let people know your location, man. It's just too much with that, man. You gotta chill out, Ja. Real talk.
Teenager over a basketball game, he brandished a gun. This is who he is. He's shown this time and time again. And I'm just telling you, like, this is not about always the law of the land. It's when you're in these kind of positions and jobs, you have a different responsibility, and you sign this moral clause, and you sign this contract, Chris, where you
Exactly, Rob Parker. Talk to him, man. Talk to this little boy, man.
don't just represent yourself. You
No, I get
represent
all that.
the NBA. You represent
You don't get all that because you would have never said none of the rhetoric you said. Now you saying you get all that. No, you don't. You don't get all nothing.
Nike. You represent the Memphis Grizzlies.
Then yeah, you get it. You was just virtual signaling and pondering.
They don't. They that's why they can just suspend you, because that's a part of the trade-off, Chris, when you're working these kind of jobs and make this kind of money, because there's so many things tied to you and the organization. And you
But
got
you
to
understand
remember,
what I'm saying. If a white baseball player out in the country is riding around
And he got the nerve to double down on this mindset, on this nonsense. He is doubling down on it.
with a gun and it's on social media, is it the same reaction?
I don't know if, because I'm going to say this. He's not hunting, which is number one. And number two, this is the second time he has a gun in public. First was in a public place, which was very dangerous, in a strip club. That's why I think it's different. This is just me.
Right.
I'm not saying if it's in a.
I mean, because some dudes might be hunters, but they posting pictures with guns.
I get it.
Remember now this isn't sports. Remember the congresswoman in Colorado, Lauren Boebert, sent out a Christmas card where her
with her
four
family,
young
they all
boys
had
with
guns,
assault rifles. Four young boys. Now, if Ja Morant posted a picture of him and three of his best friends with assault weapons, that's all I'm saying. I want that to be understood that.
Once again, moving the goalpost. Lauren Boebert is a congresswoman in Colorado, I believe. I think it's Colorado, Nevada, one of those states, and she is a pro Second Amendment. She is a pro Second Amendment. I'm gonna say it one more time so people can understand. She is one of those she is pro Second Amendment, and that's one of the things that she all about. And she's a congresswoman. So with her posting that picture with her family, for one, everybody know white people teach their young children to not play with, but show them how to hunt at young ages. And in the picture that he talking about, they wasn't hunting. I think they were standing in front of a Christmas tree. But the thing about it, once again, they always move the goalpost. First and foremost, of course, if Ja Morant, especially now, especially after all this, but if he would have before this happened, if him and his friends would have had some assault rifles, don't matter what it. Now, if they was in the middle of the hood, that might be a different story. But it might have wouldn't. But if him and his homeboys was hunting, or him and his homeboy in front of a criminal tree, all had AR-15, that's legal guns, they legal, they would not say nothing. They couldn't say nothing about it. Because guess what? They could say what they want, but it'll be the same thing. But it's a different thing if Lauren Boebert was listening to NBA YoungBoy shaking a gun all around her and her children, then she would be. Then that'd have been a whole issue for her, and we don't know how that have took place. But at the end of the day, Lauren Boebert only represents herself and her constituents in Congress and her state. She is not a part of a billion-dollar corporation where children are a part of, and people don't want their children being indoctrinated with dudes and looking up to dudes who post guns, listen to NBA YoungBoy, a rapper who rap nothing about violence. You cannot compare the two. It's not even close. It's an apple, an orange, a strawberry to a cherry. You cannot do that. But once again, this is what liberal blacks who like the virtual signal and ponder to other liberal blacks will do. They keep moving the goalpost. Now you saying, well, she had a no. Lauren Boebert had those guns, and I'm almost sure they was legal, right? And she's a pro. It was a segue to her standing on her pro Second Amendment rights, and she and her children had guns in front of a Christmas tree. It's nothing like Ja Morant when what he doing. And if he did it in the way she did it, or if she did what she did in his, if she did what he did, she'd be under fire. And if he did what she did, he wouldn't be under fire. So it's not a race thing. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. If Ja Morant and his family stand by a Christmas tree with some assault rifles before all this stuff was happening, nobody would have said nothing about it. And if Lauren Boebert make a video on Twitter or Instagram with her and her children moving around shaking guns, listening to NBA YoungBoy rapping about violence, she would be under the same fire. Of course, she wouldn't be under as much fire because why is that? She is not. She is not. She is not paid by. She is not paid and endorsed by three or more billion-dollar corporations, and she herself is not even worth probably $1 million. If she is, that might be the cap. She not worth no lot of money. She just a regular, person that support of Congress in politics. So it's two different things. Stop moving the goalpost, Chris.
Let's not hold these young black men to a standard we not holding white folks.
But I think the standard is what's representative, and this is what I'm just going to say, Chris. Like to her constituents, they could have voted her out of office if they didn't like it or whatever. But in this case with the NBA, and I think that for sure, Adam Silver feels like he has egg on his face, okay? Because the last time, Chris, you said it, he was only away from the team for a couple days, games because it was a slap on the wrist, right? They thought he's a young kid, okay, he made a mistake, dude, don't do that again. And I think that the NBA can't feel good about it. That less than 2 months later, here we go again with the Instagram Live. This ain't some. Excuse me, Chris, this isn't somebody was in your backyard with a camera and a scope and they got pictures of you and your guys hanging out in your own house or your own, you know what I'm saying? Here you are again on Instagram Live.
Right. Did you watch the actual video?
Yeah, I saw it.
Because it looked like his boy, now I'm not absolving his boy, but he didn't know, you know what I mean? Like at first they just kind of dancing, whatever they doing in the car. And then Ja just flashes the gun, you know what I mean, out of the blue, and that's when this dude shut it down. But look, I said he needs. So I'm saying a punishment, a suspension or whatever, will hopefully be a wake up call. You don't think so? So what do you think should happen to him?
I think the league is going to come down hard on him, Chris. And I've heard people say a year. I've heard people say a half a year. I think it's got to be.
I think a year is too much.
Yeah, I think he's got to understand that it's not just Ja Morant represents more than just himself when he becomes a professional basketball player in the league, and that's the part that's hard for some people, Chris. They never get it. It's the reason why some guys are great basketball players, schoolyard, but they can't go to college, Chris. You know why? Because they can't assimilate. They can't do what they need to do. They can't go to class. They can't, they can't go to practice. But they can play ball. And those guys never make it. Because you can't follow the rules and you can't be a part of what we need you to do in order to play basketball. And if you're the NBA, it's just not an image you want with your players. These guys make millions of dollars. The last thing he needs to be doing is waving a gun. And I'm not making excuses for anybody else, anybody for that matter. But this is a second shot, and I don't mean to use that term, but a second time in 2 months, Chris. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's pretty much all I gotta say on that. And at the end of the video, when he spoke about that, his brothers, they got brothers in the hood. We all, if you from the hood, everybody know it's some brothers that could have made it to the MLB, the NFL, and the NBA. But what stopped them was drugs, and what stopped them was that they couldn't say they couldn't pick and decipher what they wanted to do, be in the streets or be a pro athlete or be an athlete at that time. And they don't mix well. A lot of dudes lost their careers. I remember I was watching the Randy Moss documentary. He had his best childhood friend. Actually, was a great football player as well and a great baseball player to the point where he actually got drafted to minor league baseball, but got in a situation before he was able to even play a game, and it ruined his whole career. And he was saying that some people mistakes are temporary and some people mistakes are forever. And that's what you a lot of brothers, man, and they couldn't make it because they couldn't switch lane. They didn't know how to compartmentalize. Of course, most of them didn't have fathers to okay, this what you need to focus on, right? You don't need to focus on that. You need to focus on this. We seen that with Leonard Fournette. His father kept him away from that. His father, a real street dude from down here in New Orleans, and he kept him away from that because he knew that if he allowed his son to get mixed up with them streets, he took his son out of the public school, put him in private school because he knew, listen, my son gonna get caught up, and it's easy for a young black man to get caught up in the street because our culture makes that stuff look so tantalizing. It's just so I don't know if tantalizing the right word, but you know what I'm saying. It makes it look so it's so shiny that the street like, man, being a thug, man, that's what the women like you, this, that, and the third. Man, what you got, what Ja Morant got is every street nigga dream, right? To be making legal money doing something you love, and he put it in jeopardy, man. But my main reason for making this video is we gotta stop blaming other people, man. We gotta stop making excuses for our people when they make mistakes. We gotta correct them and move forward. Make sure we correct them, have solutions, be solution based, solution oriented, and have solutions instead of well, Lauren Boebert did it, or the white man did it, or this person did it. Forget what they did. Let them take care of their situation in their community, and we're going to take care of our situation in ours. Because guess what? You can talk about what these other races doing. They seem to be doing fine. They seem to be sticking together. They don't seem to be killing each other at record numbers. So they seem to, whatever they doing, they working it out. We need to do the same thing in our community and put ourselves in a leadership position, put ourselves in a rulership position so we can help each other out when we do make these type of mistakes. But that's, like I say, that's another story. I digress. But dealing with Ja Morant, man, he got to get it together. He got to get better friends around him. And he need to stay away from people like Chris Broussard who going to tell him, hey, if you was white, they wouldn't handle you like that. Oh, well, he's not white. Newsflash, he's not white. He's black. And now he have 2 offenses, both with firearms. So, no, he can't do what Lauren Boebert did and the white boy, or Grayson Allen, or Luca, whoever them white boys you named, Bryce Harper, because they never been in that situation. He have, and this is for the second time. And if it happened a third time, you can kiss Ja Morant goodbye. Thank y'all for listening. God bless.